choice. Girls are expected to be pure and bless your heart kind of girls. This is about abortion. My job as a woman is not just to be a wife. You're gonna tell them that they're not fulfilling their godly duty because they're not married.
You are celibate. You are Paul now. Able to get it on.
Getting married young in Christian culture. How are you supposed to know on one date? I know a lot of Christians don't agree with me on this.
They're just so horny in small group. Like, modesty! Is this a marriage proposal?
So guys, a little secret. I unbuttoned my pants because I can't sit. Because I want to be casual in this video. We're in my minivan. Do you feel honored?
I feel honored to be in the
minivan.
Does it have a name?
Gertie, you're the first guest I've brought in this car.
I'm so excited.
Oh, but fun fact, Abby was like the teaching assistant for one of my classes, and that's how I knew her. Oh my god, I loved it. No, I loved it. What is up, you guys? It's Katy, Patty, and
hello, I'm Abby.
Abby's here. Okay, Abby's here. Abby's one of my friends. We met teaching assistant.
I was a teaching assistant,
and then we met like through church. And she's a freaking awesome youth pastor. Really cool, like woman of God. Just loving that she's here.
Shout out to my kiddos.
You're gonna email your youth parents. Hey, make sure you watch this YouTube video.
Talking about sex.
I'm really excited for today's video. Abby, do you want to give a little bio about yourself?
I grew up in the very exotic Red Deer, Alberta.
Oh, we love Canadians.
I work at Life Church. Shout out to my homies. Love you guys. And so I've been working there for like 4.5 years now, which is wild because at that point, like you really see students grow up.
Too.
And yeah, and I was reading an article and it said from like years 4 to 7, that's really when you start to implement change. So I feel like I'm walking into that, which is so sick. But yeah, I work with youth. I like run our drop-in center and our youth group. It's my dream job. It's the best.
Youth pastor vibes. Anyways, today we're gonna actually be talking about church and church culture, specifically with like toxic purity culture, with like toxic marriage culture. We're gonna be like kind of not crapping on the church, but like talking about things that we need to change now and like that generationally have sucked, and that we as this new generation can be the change. And when you talk about it, it brings it to the light. And so our goal here is not to crap on churches and crap on Jesus's bride, but it's actually to bring awareness to being like, this actually isn't biblical, and this is some heresies that has been implemented into churches throughout generationally or whatever that is. Yeah, we're gonna be talking about purity, sex, and like a whole bunch of other things. We might have to make a part 2 because this video I know is gonna be long, but like it's gonna be long for a good reason.
Yes.
Don't forget to go like and subscribe.
Smash that like
button. But go like and subscribe. Don't forget to follow my Instagram and TikTok at katyy.patyy with 2 Y's on each side. We're gonna do like we always do, is we do like the easier questions to start off of, and then we're gonna get to more frisky, spicy, controversial. Anyways, let's go. The first question we're going to be diving into is, are guys and girls allowed to be friends? Now, I know this kind of seems like, well, duh, like, yeah, they can be friends, but I talking about this at my work the other day because I work at a church and a youth group. And basically, like, from kindergarten to grade 6, kids are meshed. Like, at least at our churches and most churches, they're meshed, like, in kids ministry. And then suddenly, from, like, grade 7 to grade 12, you're split up. And then, literally, you're expected to get married and be a young adult and mesh with, like, and know how to interact.
And you've literally like never talked unless you're playing bump or something.
Literally.
Tell me how that works.
Tell me how that is. And that's why in my youth group, they're now implementing, like, they have like a 4-year goal of like meshing the guys and girls together in small group. And it's been like, and a lot of parents have hated it. A lot of parents have like loved it, but it's like that stigma of like guys and girls can't handle each other together because they're just so horny. Yeah, they just can't talk.
They can't function.
They're just so horny in small group. Like, that's literally what it kind of teaches.
Even though it's very subtle, and I don't think that usually the goal is that deeper. It's just like, oh, girls talk about girl things, guys talk about guy things. But you're right. And even as I think about it now, like, it does create this separation. And then what happens is that you're in your like 20s, and then a guy's like, hey, want to go for coffee?
And you're like, no.
Is this a marriage proposal? I'm not sure.
I don't know what you mean.
And then the number of times where I'm like, I'm not looking for anything, and they're like,
I've had so many people, this is kind of going off topic a bit, but like, can we go out for coffee? And then they'll say in a platonic way, because like almost you don't, like, it's just like, it's just the idea of like asking out for coffee means date. And that's, I think, what comes from that culture of like guys and girls can't handle each other being alone, or
at least what I was really taught in youth group was like, don't date. And then that also just turned into like, we're not really going to teach you how to interact with the opposite sex.
Yes.
And then again, you get to this place where it's like, what I don't even know. Can I have guy friends?
And how do you be a godly woman and a godly man in a friendship? Like, what are those boundaries? What do they look like? How do I guard that person's heart, but also how do I guard my heart? So I think there's like pros and cons with separating girls and guys. Like, obviously there's pros and cons of like the girls and guys might feel more open to talk about things, but also there's like cons of this like culture almost being so unsubtly separated.
Yeah. So I guess to answer, I'm actually in a season right now where I'm like, okay, I have like these guys that are my friends. Like, how can I just be a really godly friend that is a girl?
Yes,
you know?
literally.
Like, it doesn't need to be weird.
Yes.
It's weird if you make it weird. That's
weird.
the thing. If you're just not weird about it,
but
it's fine.
That's actually going to lead us into our next question of Christian dating. Balance between dating for marriage, but also dating and like having fun and not putting that pressure of like, I have to marry this person on your shoulders.
It's so tricky. Probably one of the hardest parts about dating in Christian circles is just like the other people that are around you, because it's like maybe the two of you are good to like go for coffee, but then it's everyone else. And like I've totally been in there too, where it's like, oh my gosh, they went out for coffee, like,
oh literally. And then it's like, it's the worst, because like even in my small group or like Bible study and like people ask me out for coffee or I go out for coffee with somebody, I immediately get a text message like, oh, so are you into him?
How am I supposed to know?
How am I
just met
literally that's the thing. It's like, oh, I'm so sorry, but like, how are you supposed to know on one day? It has to be that like obviously guarding that person's heart and obviously not leading them on, but having that open communication going into the date, like setting out like this is a friend, or setting out like, oh, I am interested. Oh, so I went on a date with this guy this summer and I went on one date with him, and the next day he texted me, so when can I start calling you my girlfriend? I was like,
I don't know if maybe we just don't understand the value and the weight of marriage is.
And marriage,
like that's a person for life.
Sorry, this is a hot topic, but I think dating is okay. Like, like dating, what I'm saying is like going on a date with a guy and being like, you know what? I actually see you as like a potential boyfriend, husband. Like I don't actually see us working together. It was great getting to know you, but like having that open communication. This is a very hot topic because I know a lot of Christians don't agree with me on this, but I think dating is actually healthy. Like I think it's healthy to not just go for the first boy that you see at Bible college who raises his hands in worship.
Because doesn't always work out.
Literally. And just because he's a great, good-looking, godly man does not mean he's your great, good-looking, godly man.
Oh, preach! But I think that pressure is just really, really unhealthy. Yeah, the purpose of marriage, I think we forget. You know, it's not just about like the self-serving part of it, whether that's like, oh, like not being alone or like being able to get it on, or you know,
get it on.
I'm cool. I'm a youth pastor. You're here to fulfill a purpose God has for you, and that person, they've got to be on board, because if they're not, and that's the thing, they can be godly, they can be great, but they might not be the right fit for you. And I just don't think you're gonna know that after date one. And I think that like being someone's friend is really important too. And
oh my gosh, intentional friendship. I don't know. I think that Christians put pressure on themselves too early, like 100%. That they have to marry that person, that they're stuck with that person, and I'm like, no, you're dating. No. Like you are not in a covenant. You're not one flesh with them.
No, just like take that weight, take that backpack off, and just give that to Jesus right now.
Yes.
Have fun.
Yes.
Like it is just
dating
fun.
should be fun. Like, and we're not talking about fun and like
sorry, don't get.
We're not talking about obviously boundaries, but like fun. Like it's fun to go on dates. Like it's fun to get to know the person. It's like dating is supposed to be fun. Stop like putting marriage proposals in the first month. No, that's actually going to transition us to the next question. So next we're kind of gonna be talking about marriage and getting married young in Christian culture. And we're not saying that's toxic. We're not saying that at all. But we're just gonna say our experience with like the church and marriage and like everything like that. So Abby, you wanna take that off?
Yeah, I'm 23. I like just turned 23. So that's like 50 in Christian years. You are celibate. You are Paul now. Just go do your ministry. You're past your prime. I was in a long-term relationship when I was in Bible college. That was 3 years is a long time, but like I could name a ton of couples who we knew who like started dating, got engaged, and got married within that time. And that's not to say anything about like those people. I think a lot of them, I bet they're doing great. Like hello to any of my friends who've gotten married at that time. Love you all. But that pressure is like intense, you know? I'll just have people make a comment like, you're not engaged yet? And every single time without fail, I say, no, if you know anyone who's looking, let me know. And up until this point, no one's done anything. So that's on
That's on them.
That's on them. With our marriage culture, you know, I think sex is a huge part of it. You know, why all these Christians are just straight up horny. And if you're defensive right now, you're lying.
If sex was taken out of the equation, marriages would happen at like 30.
Well, that's what happens with like most secular.
Yes.
Like a lot of people are waiting a lot longer to get married now, and it's mainly like sis wants to go get a job, sis wants to go be an entrepreneur, and it's like not
so why can't that be the same mentality in Christians? Me at least, like I have said before that I don't want to get married till after university. Just like my own thing is financially stable wise, and also like me getting a career is super important because I am a very independent person. Like I want to have my own ministry one day. I want to start that. Like I want to like I want to do that. And like if he can't complement that and like go alongside me, I don't want him. And then people be like, oh, that's so long.
You don't desire to be a wife?
Yeah, literally. My job as a woman is not just to be a wife. God did not just make women to be a wife. Like there's so many great godly women who will never be wives. See, but you're gonna tell them that they're not fulfilling their godly duty because they're not married.
Do we forget that Jesus was single?
Yeah, like Jesus and Paul, like the man who literally wrote half of the New Testament was single.
Look at all the time they could dedicate to the ministry. And
I think like it's important, like if you're married and you got married young, that's good for
great.
you.
Sorry.
That's amazing for you. We
so
love
happy
it.
For you.
And like that's a great valid desire. If you want to get married young and be a wife at like 20, that is a great desire, and that might be God's call for your life. But what we're saying in this video is the church kind of has taught that being a wife and being married really young is your only purpose, and if you miss that, you're missed out on everything. Prime.
Or like even like being a mother, that like is, and that's further.
Oh my gosh,
down
that's
the
the thing is I said I don't want to be a mom till I'm like 30. I want to have my own ministry. I want to have my own career. I want to like travel. I want to do all these things, and people look down on that because it's not
like the first thing on your priority list.
And that's the thing is it makes me really frustrated because there's so many great godly women I know in my life right now who literally want to be a wife and they want to have kids right away and they want to like do that, and that's amazing, and I will continue to pray for them. I'll continue to support them in that, but that's not me, and that's okay. I'm a godly woman, and that's okay that I don't want those things right now. One day I might want them,
but for now we're good to just walk in the purpose that God has for you. And I think that's the thing too, like there are advantages to waiting, having a career, having finances in order, like that.
So I've already had sex, so it's not like I one day, like, it's gonna be great with my husband, but I can wait. If you don't know my testimony, go watch other videos. I think what we're trying to say in this whole long thing is that this culture of, like, you have to be a wife and you have to be married by, like, a certain age. If not, you're, like, useless, is stupid and dumb and garbage.
Away. That's
you're a daughter of a
silly.
king, and that is where your worth is found, not in being a husband. Sorry. Oh, yeah. I don't know if you're a son. Sometimes I direct this to only girls, but...
But hey, guys, if you're watching,
hey,
we love you.
Dude, we love you. But you're a son or daughter of a king, and that's your worth. Your worth is not being in a husband or a wife or being somebody's partner. Your worth is first and foremost a child of God.
And if you don't find that before you enter in,
that's another
dude, you're gonna be searching for that affirmation and validation from someone who's not gonna be able to give it to you.
And disappoint you.
They're gonna disappoint you.
Next, we're gonna kind of segue into purity culture and kind of the toxic purity culture that has been generationally in our church.
Oh man. How do you, where to unpack? Purity is not just based on the physical. More importantly, it's actually based on, like, your mind. So if you think about it, like, there are people who've had sex outside of marriage who, like, maybe mentally are more pure than people who haven't, but have, you know what I mean? Like, but they've fallen into different things. So, like, just because you haven't had sex, that doesn't make you pure. And, like, vice versa. We've all fallen. Whether it's, if you haven't done, like, if you've lusted over somebody, if you've looked at something you shouldn't have, we've all fallen in that area. I think it's just so hard because I feel like on the one spectrum, it's like shame and condemnation to the point where, like, it is so difficult to talk about and to bring to the light. People are just trapped in that shame for years.
That's not from God.
But then also to not get to the other side where it's like, it doesn't really matter, there's grace.
You have to have that balance.
You have to have that balance where it's like, okay, obviously this sin is super serious. If you read Paul's writing, like, to the Corinthians, this is a sin that you're committing inwardly, like, to your own body, that if you're a Christian, like, that's the temple of the Holy Spirit. That holds weight. But Jesus' grandma was a prostitute. So to say that there's no redemption is a straight up lie. Like, there is intentionality with her being in that genealogy. So I'll just say, like, whatever sexual sin you've maybe fallen into, find someone you trust.
Accountability.
Especially even if you think that they're gonna judge you or hate you. First of all, they've probably fallen too. Exactly.
They probably did it too.
And you're probably not giving them enough credit, the grace and compassion that they would have for you. Like, I was at camp, like junior high camp, like a month ago, and these girls just start asking me like these very like probably like rated R questions, but this is so good. This is so important
conversations
for us to talk
are happening
about, because we can all get thinking about it, and it makes it less weird and it makes it less shameful if that's something that they're going through. And so I think it's inevitable. All of us are gonna fall.
Purity culture is like, even if you have fallen sexually, I have too. Like, she has too.
We're here.
We all have. Yet there's redemption through Christ. And purity, toxic purity culture is like, hey, you've fallen, you're out of the church. Okay, you've had sex, you've gotten pregnant before marriage, you're out of the church. Okay, like you struggle with porn, hide that. Don't tell anybody. That's toxic purity culture. Or saying that like Jesus doesn't want you because you've had sex.
Yeah,
like that's a lie.
You're dirty or whatever. If you're a pastor, please do everyone a favor. Never use one of those terrible illustrations. Never use.
Oh my gosh, that makes me so mad. I'm so sorry. This is my number one thing. It's like when people compare sex to objects, like the plate or the rose or the like
whatever.
money.
Are you
or whatever?
kidding me?
Like, you're now teaching them that their body is an object. You're literally saying that like their worth is them being an object. It just makes me so mad because it's so objectifying even for a pastor to say that.
Exactly. And I feel like it affects girls so much more. Actually, I feel like girls mainly get that talk. It's not a lot
and
guys.
It's not from boys, and that's also a thing. Oh, they'll just be boys.
They'll be
but
boys.
Girls are expected to be pure and bless your heart kind of girls. And that comes a lot in ministry in general.
Yeah.
But also in like purity and sexuality and sex. It's like, oh, the guys, oh, they're gonna have sex. We already know that. But the girls, no. This is kind of off topic, but this is a hot topic. This is about abortion. So this makes me so mad is when churches like push out people who are pregnant before marriage when they very well could have had an abortion and hid it and went to church that Sunday at all happy smiley and performed.
And then you're gonna be at a pro-life rally.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Riddle me that.
But the thing is like half of your church that you're preaching at has probably had sex before marriage.
But they just happen to not get pregnant.
But they just happen to not get pregnant. And so you're pushing out the person who's visibly showing that they're pregnant, yet half of those people who are having sex the last night, or you're like, it's
they're
fine.
They can lead worship.
And like she should be there in there. Like she needs to be there. We all need Jesus. Like every single person, whether you've had an abortion or not, whether you are like pregnant or not, whether you've had sex before marriage or not, or anything, every single person needs Jesus. And to be pushed out of a church because you visibly see something that goes against the Bible is like the worst thing ever.
Of what you're supposed to do. And like if that's happened to you, like that is not a representation of Jesus or what the church
and
meant
I'm
to
so
be.
sorry.
And we're sorry. So I grew up in a Christian household, and I remember in high school I had a Christian teacher, and someone asked her like what she would do if one of her students was pregnant. And so I'm thinking in my head like what I know based on church culture, like, oh, she's not going to talk to that student, she's going to treat her differently, whatever. But she said, oh, I would buy her a baby shower gift. Like she always was like so nonchalantly, and that was the first time where I was like, whoa, those people need to be treated like the same way that you would like treat anyone else. Like
God doesn't say to like condemn them ever, because we are not the ones who can like there's no condemnation for those in Christ Jesus. Like it is not our place to be like, you're going to hell. I'm sorry, are you God?
Didn't think so. And that's the thing, like that is a perfect opportunity for ministry to be like,
to show love.
You did like fall in this area, but because of God's grace, like we're gonna champion you and like we're gonna champion that baby. Like how much greater of a testimony could that be for that child, knowing like, hey, this situation happened, but this church like loved and
cared and supported.
When the societal expectation is to be like to gossip and to like slander.
That's another thing.
And then what does that say to a mother that's just like shunned by people that are supposed to like,
dude, 100%. So I know it sounds like we're just yelling at the camera, but like I promise you're getting a lot out of this. And if you feel yelled at, it's not about you, it's about the church and how we need to be that change, guys. Like we need to love those people in the church. We need to love every single person that walks into the church.
Like you bring those people in, and that's not to say like, oh, we condone your sin, because that's not on us to transform people. Like that's all on the Lord. So it's like, okay, how can we show you and like reflect Christ's love so that you can experience it for yourself?
Literally.
There's life change in that.
Guys, this video is so long, but like it's because
so good.
We love it, and we're gonna be we gotta make part 2.
We do. I'm excited.
That was a video, guys. We love you. Abby, any last words?
Oh man, just like put God first in everything that you do. Like, you know, just trust that he loves you and like he does have a good purpose for you. And like
we're glad that you came, and we'll be praying for you, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye. And then you gotta cover the camera. Sorry. Bye.